We are talking Detroit Lions free agency, and in this video, I'm going to give you 10 players the Detroit Lions should look to sign in free agency. Players they could look to re-sign that was with the roster this last season, as well as players from other football team to help out the depth and starters for our team going forward in 2023. But before we get into today's video, if you love the NFL draft, free agency, Detroit Lions, and everything football, then go ahead and subscribe to my channel because we talk all things Detroit Lions news and rumors, and we have a hell of a fun time doing so. Before we get in this video, smash that like button. Let's get this thing started. You already know the first player I would love the Detroit Lions to sign in free agency, and that's defensive tackle Daron Payne from the Washington Commanders. Why should the Detroit Lions sign this guy? Because he is a monster in the middle. He is a force to be reckoned with the interior defensive line. This past year, tackles for loss, 18 tackles of 64, 11 and a half sacks, 5 pass breakups. He was one of the best, if not the best, defensive tackles in all of football. And yes, folks, this man is a free agent, and the Detroit Lions need help on the interior. They're pretty good with the edge. They're pretty good with the depth, but they would love to get a guy who can fill the interior role for them to have quarterbacks stop, able to stand in the pocket as well as run. And if you have a guy like Daron Payne, he would make players like Aiden Hutchinson, Joshua Pascal, and James Houston that much better because he would command the double team and give them the ability to be free and sack the quarterback. I would love to have him on this team. But who is your number one free agency target? Let me know in the comment section below. This is going to be the pinned comment for this video. I want to know who you would like to get. My number 2 target here is Byron Murphy, the cornerback out of the Arizona Cardinals. We think about Byron Murphy. He's a young player with the ability to get turnovers, and he's a veteran as well, and that's what the Lions are looking for. A player who has experience, who can turn the ball over, and it's not going to be that much money. Due to the fact you only played in 9 games in 2022, you may be able to do a 1-year prove-it deal like Brad Holmes likes to do with players in the past, such as DJ Chark, as well as Khalif Raymond, and we know the rest. But this guy has proven he's not an injury-prone player. He's played in nearly every single game throughout his career. 16, 15, 16 is just this last year. He got a little bit dinged up. I think for a veteran, this would be a fantastic move for the Detroit Lions, and it would not cost a whole lot. Maybe a $5 million 1-year deal for a player who could be very good and really solidify the back end while the Detroit Lions continue to get better players at the cornerback position via NFL draft, where they do probably the first round pick, whether it be 6 or 18, going to that corner position. So you would have a Byron Murphy, you'd have Jeffrey Okudah, and you would have a player via the draft in Jerry Jacobs. The depth is looking much better here for the Lions secondary. The next player on my list, I would like the Detroit Lions to potentially do a 1-year flyer here, and is Leighton Vander Esch, the linebacker from the Dallas Cowboys. And you say, Mike, this guy has been injury prone. That is true. I think that is why this could be a cheap prove-it year for this player. Now you say, getting a linebacker, well, if you look at the linebackers for the Detroit Lions currently signed, there's only 2. Derek Barnes and Malcolm Rodriguez are the only linebackers under contract this season, so the Lions need to get some players that can help out for the depth-wise for sure. Alex Anzalone, he is a free agent. He's currently not on the roster. Same with Josh Woods and Anthony Pittman. Now, we all expect the Lions to go into the NFL draft to acquire a linebacker, and I fully agree with that. But the Lions do need to build some depth, and that could be a player who has immense upside. Is Leighton Vander Esch, who's not going to cost a whole lot at all, and he will give the Detroit Lions the ability to have younger players get on the field when it comes to the NFL draft. Say there is an injury from him, and it's not going to cost a lot. When you look at what he did last season, 54 solo tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble. And like I was stating before, it's not like Josh Woods or Anthony Pittman was a real part to the Lions linebacking corps, so this would fill one of those voids with a player who has a much higher upside than those two, in my personal opinion. Another player I would love to sign is Jamaal Williams, our own running back, and there's multiple reasons I would like the Detroit Lions to re-sign Jamaal Williams. First off, 17 touchdowns is very important. We're talking about a player who scores, and yes, it's at the 1 yard line or the 2 yard line, but again, it's scoring, and scoring is really important. But I think the most important part, and most of you can agree here, when it comes to Jamaal Williams, it's the fact that this guy is the absolute heart and soul, I feel, of this football team. He fits perfectly with the rebuild that the Detroit Lions are trying to do, change of culture. He is that absolute great presence in the locker room that you need to have a positive energy, and he does that, and I think he's a great leader as well. But let's be honest here. I want to hear from you. Would you re-sign Jamaal Williams? S for sign, P for pass. Maybe a 2 to 3 year deal for Jamaal Williams, and I think that would be good, but I want to hear from you. Would you do it? Let's continue on here with more options I would like the Detroit Lions to do in re-signing Alex Anzalone. Now you say, Mike, why on God's green earth would you like to sign Alex Anzalone? Because he shouldn't be in the future part of this football team. I don't think it's going to cost you a lot, in all honesty, to re-sign Alex Anzalone. And again, I think he is a good veteran for the Detroit Lions. I truly do. And if you're trying to get a player who fits the mold of Dan Campbell, who is reliable, by the way, he is reliable, who played much better and can help groom the young players who you draft this year, I think they're going to get one high in the draft, as well as pairing him up with Vander Esch and Malcolm Rodriguez and Derek Barnes. Now your linebacker room is much improved from what was last year. Talk about Derek Barnes. You'd have Alex Anzalone, you'd have Vander Esch, you'd have Malcolm Rodriguez, and a player you drafted. That's better than Josh Woods and Anthony Pittman, if you ask me. So I think that would be a solid option for the Lions to bring him back. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, because this is your home of all offseason, where we don't stop, never quit talking Detroit Lions and giving you the best information that I possibly can do. Let's go with the number 6 option for me, and that is re-signing a man, interior defensive lineman there, Isaiah Buggs. Isaiah Buggs was a really good piece for the Detroit Lions this past year as depth. Now, he's not the greatest one player, right? He's not the guy that's going to be the biggest stout, but man, he was good for depth-wise and a rotational defensive player. I think the Lions brought him back. I would absolutely be happy about that. He wants to be back with the Detroit Lions. It's going to be cheap, and you can never have enough depth with the big bodies up front. Let's continue on here with the number 7 player I would love the Detroit Lions to re-sign, and that's Evan Brown. Evan Brown, my God, he's done a great job as a backup center as well as a backup guard for the Lions, and injuries do happen, folks. We've seen it, and Evan Brown has been extremely reliable. He's one of the best, I feel, backups in all the NFL for the offensive line, because he's universal, he's not bad at center, and he can play guard. So if the Lions can re-sign him to maybe a 1-year deal, cheap deal, I think that would be absolutely solid for the Lions going forward. The number 8 option here is getting and bringing back John Cominsky, the commish Another player we value for the depth of the defensive line. When he was out for the Lions due to injury, the defensive line took a hit, but when he was in, he was solid. He was rotational, and he was getting some pressures. He wants to be back with the Lions. You can never have enough players that actually produces, that wants to be back to change the culture, and he was a part of that. So bring back my guy, John Cominsky. How about bringing back Deshon Elliott as well? I understand we have players right now for the safety position of Kirby Joseph and Tracy Walker, but damn it, Deshon Elliott did a really good job in place of Tracy Walker while he's injured, and he can hit. He's not the greatest safety in the NFL, but as a number 3, and we don't know if Tracy Walker will be back starting week 1, I think he would be great. Again, another one-year deal. He fits the culture, and I love the fact he took offense to Aaron Rodgers last year by not respecting us. So how can you not love a guy such as him? So I think for sure the Lions should look to get him and bring him back to Detroit. And lastly, and absolutely not least, how about we go ahead and bring back Brock Wright, the Lions tight end, because he is a free agent, folks. And I would love to see him back in the Honolulu blue and silver. He's not going to cost much, if not of anything, because this guy is a cheap guy, but he gets it done at the tight end position. You know, we have a bunch of mock drafts that says we need to go ahead and draft a tight end. No, you have Shane Zylstra, you have James Mitchell, bring back Brock Wright, and it just fills all the needs we have at the tight end position. There's a lot of other players I'd like to see, smaller deals there, but these guys were my main ones, and I would love to see all of them come to the Detroit Lions. That is my perfect free agency. Let me know what your perfect free agency is. Is it different from mine? Let me know in the comment section below. With that said, folks, adios.